A Persian village buzzes with life under the sun, a vibrant tapestry of colors and sounds. Esther, radiant and youthful, effortlessly draws water from an ancient village well. The cool, clear water glistens as it fills her vessel, reflecting her serene beauty. Mordecai, her elder cousin, watches nearby, his eyes filled with warmth and affection. A gentle smile plays on Mordecai's lips as he gazes upon Esther, a silent guardian. Candlelight paints the humble room in warm hues, illuminating a simple meal shared between Mordecai and Esther. Mordecai's face, a map of wisdom and worry, reflects in the soft light, his eyes fixed on Esther. Esther's youthful curiosity shines as she listens intently, her future unwritten, her heart open. God has a plan for you, even if we don't see it yet, Mordecai says, his voice a comforting whisper in the night. The candlelight flickers, casting long shadows that dance with the unspoken hopes and fears in the room. In the throne room, King Xerxes sits, a figure of immense power. His face, a mask of fury, dominates the scene. The throne room echoes with unspoken tension. A silent rage simmers beneath the surface. The air crackles with impending wrath. Again, Vashti has defeated him. In the queen's chambers, Vashti stands as an unyielding statue, her defiance piercing the opulent surroundings. Her refusal reverberates through the palace, an open challenge to Xerxes' iron authority. Xerxes' fury ignites, his voice booming with the weight of his crown. She will no longer be queen, Xerxes declares, his words hanging heavy in the air. The opulent chamber bears witness to the fall of a queen and the rise of a storm. Vashti's eyes blaze with defiance, a silent vow etched upon her face as her reign ends. Across the Persian Empire, riders thunder, their steeds kicking up dust on a journey to spread royal decree. Through bustling marketplaces, the echo of hooves announces the king's command. In quiet villages, the news arrives, stirring hearts and hopes with the royal call. Sun-drenched fields witness the messenger's relentless pace, each stride carrying destiny. Hear ye, hear ye. By order of the king, a new queen shall be chosen. Let all eligible maidens present themselves. The proclamation rings out, changing lives with its regal decree. Inside Mordecai's home, Esther sits, her face a canvas of worry as she nervously clutches her gown. Mordecai kneels beside her, a comforting hand gently placed on her arm, his gaze filled with concern. His eyes reflect a deep resolve, a silent promise to protect her from the shadows closing in. We must trust in God's plan, Mordecai says, his voice a soothing balm against the storm of their fears. Esther enters the royal palace harem, overwhelmed by the sheer opulence of silk, gold, and intricate designs. Exotic perfumes fill the air as Esther observes the beautiful women, each vying for attention. Awe mixes with trepidation as Esther realizes the magnitude of the competition before her. The palace is a stark contrast to Esther's humble origins. Esther moves through the opulent harem with quiet grace, the rich fabrics and ornate details a backdrop to her poise. She approaches Hegai, her eyes reflecting respect, her posture humble before the overseer of the women. Hegai, initially reserved, watches her with growing interest as she speaks, intrigued by her genuine humility. Her tone is soft, yet confident, a stark contrast to the lavish surroundings, drawing Hegai further into their exchange. Shadows dance in the harem as Esther kneels, a solitary figure amidst soft oil lamps. Her lips move in silent prayer, her face etched with worry, a stark reflection of inner turmoil. Memories of Mordecai's teachings flood her mind, guiding her through the darkness. She clutches a worn scroll to her chest, a hidden symbol of her Jewish identity. In the heart of the palace, Esther's faith becomes her shield against the looming shadows. In the palace harem, Esther stands before a mirror, her reflection a fragile echo in the polished glass. Her hands tremble slightly as she adjusts the simple gown, a stark contrast to the opulent surroundings. Hegai, with kind eyes, offers gentle guidance, his presence a calming force in the tense atmosphere. Remember, Esther, humility is your greatest virtue, Haggai says softly. Let your inner beauty shine through. Esther steps into the king's chambers, her presence immediately commanding attention. King Xerxes looks up, his gaze drawn to Esther with unmistakable captivation. Her beauty radiates softly, illuminating the chamber and enchanting the king. A gentle spirit surrounds her, calming and alluring. Awe flickers in King Xerxes' eyes, reflecting Esther's ethereal grace. A burgeoning affection begins to bloom within the king's heart, drawn by Esther's serene presence. In the grand throne room, King Xerxes stands, his commanding presence filling the space as sunlight floods through the windows. His voice echoes, resonating with authority and warmth, as he gestures towards Esther. A radiant smile lights up his face, reflecting his joy and pride. The courtiers erupt in cheers, their voices a thunderous wave of celebration in the throne room. In the queen's chamber, sunlight spills through arched windows, illuminating Esther, the heavy crown a stark reminder of her duty. Esther's gaze sweeps over the opulent royal palace, yet her thoughts drift far beyond its gilded walls. Esther remembers Mordecai and her humble beginnings. The narration whispers, a stark contrast to the queen's present grandeur. The weight of her past and present converges, a silent battle waged within the queen's resolute heart. Outside the towering royal palace gates, Mordecai's face is a canvas of deep worry. He shifts anxiously, his eyes constantly searching towards the palace entrance. Each moment stretches into an eternity as he awaits news of Esther. His hope dwindles with each passing shadow. His silent vigil continues. He yearns for any sign, any word that might break the heavy silence. The palace looms, indifferent to his torment, a silent monolith of power. Sunlight floods the opulent throne room, highlighting the regal grandeur of the royal palace. Haman, proud and ambitious, awaits before King Xerxes, his posture reflecting unwavering confidence. King Xerxes gestures, a sign of immense royal favor, elevating Haman to a position of great power. Haman's eyes gleam with ambition as he basks in the king's favor, his ascent now undeniable. The throne room buzzes with silent anticipation, the court watching Haman's rise with bated breath. Under the scorching sun, the royal palace gates loom, a stark symbol of power and decree. Nobles and commoners alike bow low, their obeisance a wave of forced humility before Haman's decree. Amidst the bowing crowd, Mordecai stands tall, an unyielding figure of defiance against the tide. His gaze pierces through the oppressive atmosphere, a silent challenge to the authority demanding subservience. Inside his opulent chambers, Haman is consumed by fury, his every step echoing his uncontrollable rage. His face contorts in anger, a mask of pure, unadulterated wrath. He dares to defy me, Haman roars, his voice shaking the very foundations of the palace. The air crackles with his fury, a storm of ambition and vengeance brewing within. Within the opulent royal palace, Haman's face twists upon hearing the revelation. Mordecai is Jewish. Crimson rage washes over Haman's features as the truth crushes him. His eyes burn with dark intent. A storm of fury brews within, threatening to consume everything in its path. The silence shatters as Haman's vow rips through the chamber, laced with venom. I will destroy them all. Haman's hands clench, a terrifying promise of annihilation hanging heavy in the air. Inside the opulent king's chambers, Haman's sinister smile hints at the dark machinations about to unfold. He subtly guides King Xerxes' hand, positioning it precisely above the fateful decree. The royal seal presses firmly onto the parchment, an act of irreversible consequence. The weighty document now bears the king's mark, heavy with impending doom. Unseen, the fate of countless Jewish people hangs precariously in the balance, sealed by royal decree. A royal herald, armor gleaming, stands tall above the bustling city streets, a beacon of imperial power. He unfurls the scroll, the imperial crest a stark symbol against the morning light. His voice, magically amplified, echoes like thunder, carrying the empire's grim decree. The announcement crashes over the Jewish people, a wave of despair washing over their faces. Whispers erupt like a rising tide, a chorus of fear and uncertainty filling the air. Tears stream down faces, a silent testament to the profound sorrow gripping the crowd. Before the towering royal palace gates, Mordecai stands cloaked, a figure consumed by sorrow. His trembling hands tear at his clothes, the fabric ripping under the weight of his despair. A raw cry of anguish erupts from Mordecai, echoing through the silent courtyard. The sound reverberates against the stone walls, a testament to his profound grief. His figure is silhouetted against the grand gates, a lone beacon of mourning. The heavy shroud seems to suffocate him, mirroring the stifling grip of his sorrow. Inside the queen's chambers, sunlight streams through sheer curtains, illuminating the opulent space. Esther revels in her royal life, oblivious to the impending doom that awaits her people. She moves with the grace of royalty, adorned in silks and jewels, unaware of the decree. The palace walls seem to whisper secrets, yet Esther remains untouched by the shadows lurking. Her laughter echoes through the halls, a sound of pure joy soon to be overshadowed by fate. In the queen's chambers, Hatak bows low, his face a mask of deep concern. His nervous gestures hint at the gravity of the message he bears for Esther. "My queen, I bring grave news," Hatak says, his voice hushed with urgency. He continues, "Mordecai is in deep distress outside the palace gates." The weight of his words hangs heavy in the air, a storm gathering in the palace. He speaks of a decree, a terrible decree that threatens our people, Hatak warns. Esther recoils, her face paling as the queen's chambers fade into a blur of fear and resolve. Her hand trembles, but determination hardens her features as she scribbles a hasty message. The scroll is sealed, a silent plea for salvation. She summons Hatak, her loyal attendant, entrusting him with the weight of her desperate hope. "Take this to Mordecai at once," Esther commands, her voice laced with urgency. It is a matter of life and death. Sunlight flares on the golden gates of the royal palace, a beacon of power and secrets. Mordecai, etched with time and worry, observes a messenger vanish into the distance. His eyes, burdened with hope and concern, fix on the imposing palace walls. A whisper of conviction escapes his lips. "Perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this." Inside the opulent queen's chambers, Esther is beset by a profound internal struggle. She is torn, knowing that approaching the king unbidden carries the weight of a death sentence. The gravity of her choice hangs heavy in the air, each moment fraught with peril. Her resolve wavers as she contemplates the deadly consequences of her actions. The weight of the kingdom and her own life rests precariously on her decision. Inside the queen's chambers, Esther stands, her resolve solid as the palace stones. Her face, a study in determination, betrays no hint of fear or doubt. A moment of silent strength before the storm, her fate hanging in the balance. Esther's voice echoes with unwavering resolve. "If I perish, I perish." Amidst the city's vibrant chaos, Mordecai stands firm, a beacon of resolve in the crowded streets. He raises his hands, his voice a clarion call, gathering the Jewish people around him. Faces etched with worry and fragile hope turn towards Mordecai, a silent question in their eyes. A collective fast commences, a unified act of faith rippling through the assembled crowd. Heads bow in prayer, a silent plea rising from the heart of the city, seeking Esther's triumph. The bustling city fades into the background, as their shared devotion becomes the sole focus. Sunlight paints the opulent chamber as Esther kneels, dust motes swirling around her in the golden light. 3 days of fasting etched on her pale face, her head bowed in solemn prayer. Her hands are clasped tight, a silent plea for divine guidance. Stained glass casts colorful patterns around her as Esther remains unwavering in her resolve. The queen's chamber is filled with unspoken tension as Esther confronts her destiny. In the royal palace, Esther is resplendent in royal robes as she walks toward the inner court. Her steps are measured and deliberate, each movement a testament to the weight of her purpose. The potential consequences of approaching the king, uninvited, weigh heavily on her. She is aware of the risk she is taking. In the grand throne room, King Xerxes observes Esther, his expression unreadable. The weight of the moment hangs heavy as Esther stands before the throne. A gesture of power, King Xerxes extends his golden scepter. The fate of Esther hangs in the balance as the scepter points in her direction. In the queen's chambers, Esther sighs, relief mixing with the heavy burden of her royal duty. She paces across the ornate rug, her mind already racing with plans and strategies. Lost in thought, her fingers trace the delicate gold embroidery on her royal gown. A new resolve hardens her gaze as she begins to formulate a daring plan. The weight of the kingdom rests on her shoulders, but Esther stands tall. The banquet hall glitters with candlelight, a spectacle of royal excess and hidden tension. Esther, regal and composed, stands at the head of the table, a flicker of anxiety in her gaze. King Xerxes reclines on his throne, lost in the pleasures of the feast, unaware of the danger. Haman sits opposite the king, a smug smile playing on his lips, blind to his impending doom. The opulent decorations serve as a stark contrast to the subtle but palpable tension in the air. A feast for the eyes, but a storm is brewing beneath the surface of the royal banquet. The banquet hall glitters as King Ahasuerus revels in the lavish feast, his joy radiating through the crowded room. King Ahasuerus gestures grandly toward Esther, his voice booming with regal generosity. "Tell me, Esther, what is your petition? What is your request?" he asks, his eyes full of anticipation. "It will be given to you, even to half my kingdom," King Ahasuerus declares, his words echoing with power. Esther speaks softly, her words carefully chosen. "Let my life be granted me. This is my petition. I would like to invite you and Haman to another banquet tomorrow," Esther adds, her gaze steady. Haman strides into his opulent home, a triumphant grin plastered across his face, basking in the glow of royal favor. He gathers his wife and closest friends, his chest puffed out with pride, reveling in his perceived power. "Did you see the queen's face when I spoke?" Haman boasts, his voice dripping with self-importance. His eyes gleam with ambition. "She hangs on my every word." Shadows flicker within Haman's opulent home, casting an eerie glow on his restless figure. Haman paces, his face a taut mask of fury, the candlelight accentuating his dark mood. His wife approaches, her expression thoughtful, a plan forming in her eyes. "Build a gallows, a tall one, for Mordecai," Haman's wife says, her voice sharp. A sinister smile spreads across Haman's face. "Excellent. It shall be done." Haman, his face twisted with malice, unleashes a torrent of orders, his voice echoing across the palace grounds. Royal carpenters rush to obey, their movements frantic as they assemble the towering gallows. The dark wood of the gallows stands in stark contrast against the opulent backdrop of the royal palace. Haman's cruel gaze sweeps over the rising structure, a dark satisfaction gleaming in his eyes. He envisions Mordecai's end, a silent promise of doom hanging heavy in the air. The gallows loom large, a symbol of Haman's vengeful ambition against the bright palace facade. In the opulent king's chambers, Xerxes tosses in his bed, wide awake in the suffocating darkness, haunted by unseen fears. Unable to find solace in sleep, a frustrated sigh escapes his lips, the silence amplifying his torment. With a commanding tone, Xerxes summons a servant, his voice echoing through the vast, empty room. "Bring me the royal chronicles," he commands, seeking refuge in the tales of his ancestors. "Read to me," Xerxes orders, hoping the ancient words will lull him into a peaceful slumber. Inside the king's chambers, a candle flickers, casting shadows on ancient chronicles spread across a heavy oak table. The chronicles detail a past event, revealing Mordecai's brave intervention that saved the king's life. A deadly assassination plot, thwarted by Mordecai's quick thinking and courage. The flickering candlelight dances across the aged pages, highlighting the weight of history and loyalty. Each word in the chronicles echoes Mordecai's act of valor, the king's life spared. Flickering candles cast long shadows across the king's chambers, the only witnesses to the secrets held within. King Xerxes sits upon his throne, a silhouette against the dim light, lost in the labyrinth of his thoughts. The silence of the chamber amplifies the weight of his contemplation, each shadow a burden he carries. A subtle shift in his posture signals a change, the first crack in the dam of his internal struggle. His eyes, once clouded with doubt, now sharpen with resolve, a spark igniting in the darkness. A profound realization dawns on King Xerxes' face, altering the course of his destiny in the quiet night. Golden sunlight floods the royal palace courtyard, illuminating ancient stones and manicured gardens. King Xerxes, a figure of immense power, surveys his domain with a commanding presence. Haman stands nearby, his face alight with ambition, awaiting the king's decree. King Xerxes turns his gaze upon Haman, a question hanging heavy in the air. What should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Xerxes asks, his voice echoing through the courtyard. Sunlight bathed the royal palace courtyard, illuminating ancient stones and whispering secrets of power. Haman, a calculating advisor, watches the king, his expression a mask of loyalty, hiding ambitious intent. A subtle flicker in Haman's eyes betrays the schemes brewing beneath his composed facade. A grand procession, Your Majesty? An excellent idea, Haman says, his voice dripping with false enthusiasm. The king nods, unaware of the web of deceit being spun around him in the sunlit courtyard. In the palace courtyard, King Xerxes commands, his voice booming, his decree setting the stage for triumph and treachery. Haman's face is a study in suppressed rage as he bows, receiving the king's order with a veneer of obedience. Royal guards stand like statues, their presence underscoring the gravity of the unfolding events in the courtyard. Haman prepares to lead Mordecai through the city, a twisted smile playing on his lips as he anticipates his rival's humiliation. The royal procession is set to begin, a public spectacle designed to amplify both royal power and personal vendettas. Haman, his face a mask of humiliation, leads Mordecai through the crowded city streets. Each step grates, a heavy burden on Haman's soul as he parades his rival. The bustling crowd watches, their shouts like brands searing into Haman's pride. Haman's voice cracks with forced servitude. Make way for Mordecai, the man whom the king delights to honor. Mordecai remains silent, his gaze fixed ahead as Haman's humiliation unfolds. The banquet hall glitters with candlelight, opulent decorations reflecting the wealth of the royal palace. Esther stands tall, a regal presence at the head of the table, a queen amidst courtiers. To her right, Xerxes. To her left, Haman. Unspoken tension hangs heavy in the air. Courtiers watch from a distance, their expressions carefully neutral, observing every subtle move. A night of feasting, yet beneath the surface, secrets simmer and fates hang in the balance. Flickering candlelight dances across opulent tapestries in the banquet hall. King Xerxes sits on his throne, anticipation and impatience warring on his face. Before him, Esther stands, her face a mask of unwavering resolve. The air crackles with unspoken tension, a storm gathering in the silence. Esther's voice cuts through the heavy atmosphere. I am a Jew, Your Majesty, to destroy my people. The banquet hall glows, ornate details shimmering as servants freeze, wine suspended. All eyes fix on Esther, her face a canvas of determination and fury. Esther's voice cuts through the stunned silence. An adversary, an enemy has plotted to destroy me and my people. The name hangs in the air, a thunderclap of accusation. Haman! Opulence fills the royal palace banquet hall, a stark contrast to King Xerxes' brewing fury. Xerxes' face contorts with rage, a storm gathering behind his eyes. His fists clench, knuckles white, against the rich fabric of his robes. With a thunderous expression, Xerxes turns abruptly, the silence amplifying his anger. He storms out of the banquet hall, leaving a palpable tension hanging in the air. Inside the opulent royal palace banquet hall, the scene is set for a dramatic confrontation. Beads of sweat glisten on Haman's brow, reflecting the dim light of the hall. He throws himself at Esther's feet, a desperate act of supplication. His face contorts into a mask of raw desperation, a stark contrast to his former arrogance. Haman's eyes widen with terror, betraying the fear that grips his heart. The grand hall witnesses Haman's fall, a powerful display of vulnerability. King Xerxes storms into the banquet hall, his face a thundercloud as he surveys the opulent scene. His eyes blaze with fury as he spots Haman near Queen Esther, misinterpreting their interaction. "Guards, seize him! He dares to assault my queen!" King Xerxes roars, his voice echoing through the hall. "Haman will be hanged on the very gallows he built for Mordecai." The king's decree silences the room. "Let this be a lesson to all who plot against my loyal subjects," Xerxes proclaims, justice served swiftly.